From unknown parts of metropolitan New York City, I am hip and this is Leap.
Yes. Hello, everybody out there in Hip and Lip Land. Good evening, or of course, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you might be tuning in to Hip and Lip. That's who we are. We are a New York sports podcast, and because we are a New York sports podcast, well, I guess that means we have to tackle the news of the day here in New York. No, that would not be Odell Beckham. That would not be the Yankees losing a tough one last night or having a game right now today. That would not be the Mets losing yet another player. I think they are fielding their AA team now to ride out the string the rest of the season. No, it's not the hurricane. That's hopefully not going to hit us. And, of course, we hope it doesn't hit anybody. So we wish all the best to our fellow hipsters in Florida. As hopefully Irma just turns the other way. But, no, the big news story is, aRight. No more. That's right. Boomer and Carton. No more. How saddened and shocked were you this morning with the news, Mr. Hip?
Beyond shocked, and before we get into it, which we absolutely will, I just want to add, look, this is an NFL preview show.
Yes, indeed.
So while we handle, look, while we're going to get to that,
get to the Boomer and the Carton
tonight. Yes, the plan for tonight though is do some Jets-Giants previews. We promised that last episode. The season starts tomorrow night. We're going to do a over-under for some notables for NFL teams, the Vegas lines for total wins on the year. And, yes, a little bit of Yankees and stealing signs and the controversy there, how that might add fuel to the fire of the rivalry. Yes, bringing back the rivalry a little bit, will we?
Yes,
and we'll do some picks for this week one games on the spreads. We'll each take a stab at a couple, and we'll probably fail miserably, and it'll be fun doing so. But yes, so I saw the breaking news at 10 o'clock this morning. Craig Carton arrested. I'm like, Craig Carton arrested? What? And just glued to the Twitter feed, and before you know it, you see the press release on the FBI or the Department of Justice's website, and the Securities and Exchange Commission also alleging charges. And I mean, basically, they're calling it a Ponzi-like scheme where he and a co-conspirator or two lured investors into putting funds to ticket resale businesses that allegedly Mr. Carton used to satisfy some gambling debts in the hundreds of thousands of dollars and in some millions of dollars amongst his various creditors. And so I'm putting it kindly, right?
So I mean, we'll lend you some money to use to lose in gambling. Maybe some blackjack, some roulette, or maybe.
No, hold on, no. The allegations are that the money was already lost, and there's snippets of text messages and emails of that he needs $1 million. He's going to pay $1 million the next day to to a casino that he owes money to. I mean, I was beyond shocked. I mean, this is somebody that he's 48 years old, spent as a co-host with Boomer Esiason. They actually a decade as of yesterday, I think it was, in fact, on the air. They took over for Imus in the morning on the fan.
2007, yeah.
And literally 10 years as of yesterday, I believe. And apparently that they were onto this in the middle of last year through at least the early of this year, and it's part of a wider web of cracking down on these ticket resale scams where they're allegedly they take investor money and they operate like a Ponzi scheme where they're just paying back investors from the past or diverting the funds for the use otherwise intended. And apparently there were forged ticket resale agreements that were presented to the investors to show that the potential business that was going to be done, which was completely fabricated. I mean, this is very serious, and he was arraigned today and released on a $500,000 bond. He can't turn in his passport. He can't leave the northeastern New Jersey, New York City area. I believe his next hearing date is a month from now. And, you know, I think there were two counts. I think there was conspiracy, and I don't recall the third off the top of my head, but each carry at least 5 years. One's a maximum of 5 years. One's a maximum 25 years. I mean,
those wire fraud, right? Wire fraud.
Wire fraud, conspiracy, and I just don't recall the third charge offhand. But the bottom line is very serious, very shocking. And
well, he is a shock jock, so never ceases to shock us in his own in his own elaborate and I guess criminal ways.
It's, I mean, you laugh, and you know, to me, it's sad. At the end of the day, which is today, the end of today, it's sad. Not just
family,
whatever.
Obviously, his wife, his kids, 4 kids.
We look innocent until proven guilty.
Of course,
but right? I mean, he's a family man. He has 4 kids. He does all these charitable events. You know, with the police force and for veterans, and he's a big supporter of a Tourette's Foundation. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just sad, and we don't know what the actual outcome is going to be, or whether he's actually guilty or anything along those lines. But you know, and duped investors too. I mean, apparently. So we don't know his side of the story. It didn't look good the way he came out of the courthouse, you know, just with his shorts and sandals and hoodie over the head. And not that you would expect otherwise, but just was the shot that you needed to see for it to really hit you, how sad it is. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens on the radio side. Not that that's as important, but it's just a sobering reminder that whether or not whether this was the case for him, it reminds us that it is possible that gambling can ruin families, you know, where possibly he was led to make these rash decisions to pay gambling debts. Who knows? Maybe his family was threatened, you know, because of the money that he was owed to these casinos and the hundreds of thousands or bookies.
Well, we don't know that he's been threatened before. I mean, maybe not necessarily for gambling debts, but I mean, he's been one of the most controversial figures. Really, I mean, he's been. I mean, Phil Mushnick in the paper just writes about how he has a potty mouth, and you know, just kind of writes that over and over in the New York Post. But I mean, he's very controversial. Has said over the course of his whole career so many controversial things, offensive things, you know, things that have definitely angered and upset other people. I mean, he's a shock jock. I mean, he's Howard Stern, just talks about sports more often than other stuff. I mean, as opposed to pop culture or politics or other current events. I mean, that's what he is. He's a shock jock, but he's, you know, funny at times, entertaining at times. And to many, he's entertaining all the time because they've had the #1 rating in the 25 to 45 demographic for 10 years running since they took over for Imus. And Imus was fired for being his shock jock self, saying an offensive, racist thing. He was fired for that. Now they brought in Carton, and he's surprised. He's talking about gambling all the time, Carton. He was always talking about his knowledge of gambling and how his bookie and gambling here and casinos and football and sports, whatever. I mean, he talked about it all the time. So when I saw the headline, arrested, shocked, yes. When I saw what he was arrested for, shocked, not so much.
I think I was a little naive to the possibility that, you know, look, reiterate, innocent until proven guilty, that he could get himself in such a jam to that extent where he's, you know, presenting forged documents to get $1 million here or there from hedge funds or other investors. You know, he just puts on a very intelligent and witty front, and I don't know him personally, but I always got the sense that at the end of the day, he was a guy that was going home to his family. He was going and then he was going home to his family and just being a family man and making, you know, logical, smart decisions. That was right. That it was all a shtick on the air, and he didn't really, you know, when the show ended, he didn't take the show and his antics home with him or whatever. But it's just sad, you know. Family of 4 kids. What do they think these kids now have to deal with when they go to school? I mean, you just think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and,
it's just terrible. Well,
I mean, obviously, gambling addiction is something I'm sure that'll be brought to the forefront here, and how it affects so many people, and rips apart so many families, and it does. It's a problem. It's an issue.
A guy that was making 250 grand just as the host, and who knows how much else from.
I'm actually surprised it was that little. I figured he'd be making closer to $1 million.
Yeah,
considering I mean, he's been number one in the ratings for that demographic. I thought their advertising revenue, maybe not. It's not the drive time like the big guy in the afternoon, but morning. That's still one. That's still drive time. It's not afternoon, but it's still drive time in the morning. I mean,
that's 250,000 doesn't actually get you that far for a family of 4 living in Manhattan in Battery Park. I don't know if that's where he currently is. He talked about living there.
Okay. I knew he was in Manhattan. I knew exactly where he was,
but it's just so it's just a reminder to all of us that this can tear apart that gambling addictions tear apart families, and it's not just the poor and weak-minded that can be susceptible to letting this happen to them. And look, we don't know all the details, and I keep saying that, but regardless, it reminds us of that, and it's sobering, and we have to move on. We have to get to the exciting stuff. That was the main purpose of the show. There's just something that broke
a little down or depressing news. Yeah. I mean, again,
just shocking. Just a guy that's been on the radio for 10 years and has a family of 4. It's just incredible. And someone that, look, he's kind of in this, he's a huge part of this community that we've voluntarily joined. The broadcasting community.
aRight. I mean, how many times have our audience heard us say aRight? I mean, that's all that comes from Greg Harton, the lowercase a, capital R-I-G-H-T. aRight.
And it will never feel the same again.
Yeah. And
it will never feel the same again.
And I think what else you're feeling is, I mean, there's definitely the different relationship. I mean, the celebrity gets arrested. Okay, we've seen celebrities get arrested before. I mean, how many celebrities have been arrested? It's different though when a radio personality, especially one that you listen to, because there's definitely a different, more intimate relationship. Even though they're not talking directly to you, it's still a very different relationship that you have with somebody on the radio as opposed to TV, movies, all that. So there's a bigger disconnect with the other celebrities. So yeah, again, it's something that definitely hits you harder. And all right, the sobering news of the day. So hopefully we brought everybody down. Elevate them again.
So apparently, Phil Simms is co-hosting the show at Boomer Size. Is suspended indefinitely. That's no brainer for CBS.
Of course. Yeah, nothing from CBS, of course. No, they didn't give any kind of information. It was simply simply the company line. All right, we know we're cooperating. We'll let you know.
Right, so let's move on. Look, we can't spend an hour talking about it. There'll be updates as we go. Maybe nothing in the next month. But look, the NFL season starts tomorrow. There's been countless, like we say for so many other sporting events, a lot of analysis leading up to it, with all the fantasy analysis and the predictions of the teams, and it just is nice when it finally arrives, because you're just no longer overwhelmed or bored, frankly. Another article.
I mean, it takes for training camp, preseason.
Yeah, and it's just on and on. So look, it's here. I was just looking to remind myself that New England is home. They're hosting the Chiefs tomorrow night. So we'll get to that a little bit later. Let's get right. So we talked about the Jets and Giants in bits and pieces. But now it's time to do kind of the team season preview, right? As week 1 is upon us with Ezekiel Elliott playing against the Giants.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. We'll not just yet.
There's a lot to get to. We can't spend all
we will definitely touch on Mr. Elliott's presence.
We will touch you, and Ezekiel Elliott will touch you, and
I'll punch it in the gut. Oh, maybe that's a bad.
So try to. So take the floor here. New York Giants. Couple of keys to the upcoming season. A few points that come to mind that you think are especially important to focus on in the early going of the year, and ultimately what you think their win-loss record will be, and if you think they'll make the playoffs, how far they'll make it in the playoffs.
I see. Well, I thought I'm not going to do the Jets. I'm not going to go Jets fans. Jeremy Curley is back. Get excited. They might actually go 1-15 now instead of 0-16.
Well, I think you just pretty much took care of the Jets right there. We'll see if I could come up with anything else between now and when you're done with the Giants.
Yeah, right. Well,
so proceed.
Yes. Well, the good football team here in our fair city, or in the state of New Jersey, of course, as the Giants are. A couple of good teams in New York. Giants happen to be one of them. So, hey, Giants Super Bowl, spoken in the same sentence. We've heard that before coming into a season, only to see them crash and burn. It seems like the Giants, when they have no expectations, they will exceed all those minimal hipster doctrine-esque expectations and go on and beat the Patriots to go the 17-0 Patriots or the 18-0 Patriots, and then the Patriots again in 2011. Of course, it is the 10-year anniversary of their Super Bowl victory over the Pats. So I just wanted to get that out there too. They will be, I believe, commemorating that later on this season. I'm not sure when, probably in October or November, you figure. But 10 years since they beat Brady and Belichick in that very, very exciting and memorable game. But the 2017 Giants are upon us. Everybody in Giants land is excited, and why not? A team that they bring back from last year that really took off their defense, especially at the end of the season. We all remember the game against the Packers, how they the one thing that drove me crazy about reading, whenever you read an article about the Giants in the offseason, and whenever they reminisce back to the they reference or reminisce back to the Giants-Packers playoff game, they made it seem as if the Packers just kicked the Giants' rear ends up and down the field from start to finish, and especially their defense. People, did you not watch the game? Do you not remember how the game unfolded? The Giants were doing we're the ones kicking the Packers' rear ends up and down the field. For the first 27 minutes, their defense was phenomenal. And then everything fell apart. We don't have to rehash it, but
you already did, but anyway.
Well, but the question now is, do the Giants build off of that last year? The rookie head coach, who's now in his second year, does he build off of last year? Do their young guys, like Mr. Beckham, like Shepard, their receiving core now, they get a veteran presence in Brandon Marshall. Their offensive line, their younger guys, obviously Hart and Flowers, and do those guys build off of what happened last year? So, I mean, that's really the question. Do the Giants take the next step? Are they talented enough? Absolutely. I mean, I think the Giants can definitely play with anybody in the conference. When you look at their schedule, you definitely you look at their schedule and say, wow, that is a tough schedule, because it is a tough schedule. You look at their schedule from top to bottom, they have 2-game stretch where they play the Rams and the Niners back to back. I think that's like end of October, early November. Other than that, the Giants really have no other cupcakes the whole season. The division is tough. We know that, the Eagles are going to be pretty good. Dallas, you figure will be good. And the Redskins, they have a really good offense. How many games the Redskins will win? They're going to be around a 7-9 win team potentially. Maybe more. Who knows? But they're in a tough division. They play the AFC West, so they're in Denver. I think they're in Oakland. They play the NFC West, and that's where they get their 2 cupcakes. The Rams and the Niners. I mean, the Cardinals should be pretty good, and the Seahawks should be pretty good. So, I mean, you look at their schedule from top to bottom, it is not easy. A lot of people are picking them to win 10, 11 games. I mean, you're going to see some people picking them to win the division. Other people will have Dallas. You might have a few scattered, maybe even Philly or Washington in there. But most experts are going to be taking either the Giants or Cowboys. And from what I've gathered, from what I've seen, it seems like majority are taking the Giants, in part because of the Elliott suspension, of course, as we know, or suspension, the bunny ears, quotation marks for Elliott. But the Giants this year absolutely can win the NFC. They can play with anybody. They can beat anybody. Their offense, I mean, you look at, again, the offensive line is a big question, as we've talked about. Flowers, at left tackle. Will he finally is in his third year, will he make the jump? Will he become the player the Giants expected when they reached for him in the first round a couple of years ago? Bobby Hart had a good preseason. Will he be able to build on that? Right guard's a total mystery. Center and left guard, they're set. Richburg and Pugh, both very good players. Pugh can be an all-pro. He's good enough. Right guard, a mystery. Fluker, maybe. Brent Jones, who knows? John Jerry was the starter. Will he last long there? We'll see. Again, we talked about wide receiver Beckham. We know what he is, assuming he's healthy. And the ankle, they're gonna be cryptic and NHL like in their description. Should you would think he's gonna play against Dallas, but even if he doesn't, he'll be back for week 2, I'm sure. Marshall, the veteran, the tall, big target in the end zone for Eli. Remember Eli throwing the Burris. Marshall, a similar body type to Burris. Definitely is. He's not the most fleet of foot. Well, similar. I think Marshall's 6'4", Burris was more 6'5". Exactly. Everybody slurp. And but the big target for Eli, as we know, he likes his big target. Shepard in his second year, showed a lot of good things last year. No reason to think he won't build on that. Obviously, the tight end that they drafted in the first round, Ingram, and the tight end position should be a lot better this year, bringing in the guy from Minnesota, along with Ingram.
Red Ellison.
Yes. Be excited. Oh, yes. Brought in as a blocker, but you hear he can catch balls out of the backfield. Well, whoop-dee. Maybe he'll catch like a 12 or 13 balls like Jake Ballard did a few years ago. Although Ballard had a few big catches with him, for those that remember Jake Ballard in their Super Bowl year. Yeah, a big one against the Pats in the regular season that year, I remember. Anyway, fullback. The Giants have a fullback. Shane Smith. Oh, my God. The Giants have a fullback. Amazing. So, and that's in the thing.
Never heard of him.
Yes. I think an undrafted rookie, probably. Who knows? Probably. But the offense last year, we talked about this, was just so damn predictable. Everything was 3 wides, 1 tight end, and a back, no fullback. Ran, just a very predictable offense that defenses just said, hey, we'll play a cover 2, and that's all we have to do. We don't have to actually game plan for the Giants.
All we got to do. Oh, yeah.
And that's exactly what teams did. And I guess Ben McAdoo didn't think to adjust. Well, in his second year now, he had a lot on his plate. Obviously, as a rookie head coach, probably, feels a lot more comfortable. Everything that you hear, it looks like he's really settled into to the way he wants to approach his job and his style and the way, he wants to connect his players and approach his players, connect to his players. And, everything that you hear, that they love playing for him. He really knows how to, he really knows how to, cater to certain players and what they need, whatever. So, it seems like the Giants are on a very good track. Their defense, great last year. No reason, or at least at the end of the year, was great. No reason to think they won't be as good, if not better, this year. Depth at corner is a little concern. They trade for Ross Cockrell right before the season from the Steelers, a guy that I think I've heard of a couple of times, but they're just a guy to be more of a depth guy. They obviously have Jenkins and Eli Apple if he's healthy, which it seems like he'll be playing against Dallas, but both of his ankles were sprained, so that definitely can concern you just a bit, having 2 sprained ankles, let alone just 1. But Apple should, if he's healthy, should definitely take a jump, the former first-round pick. Jenkins had a great year last year. Rogers Cromartie, DRC, he should definitely be as key a guy as he was last year, playing, being that versatile slot guy, can play the outside, can play the slot. You might even see him sprinkled in at free safety every now and again. Maybe, who knows? You saw in the preseason. And then the front 4 could be as good as any in the league. Snacks, enough said, all pro. Jason Pierre-Paul terrorizing quarterbacks again. Maybe the guy that we remember from 2011 when he terrorized quarterbacks the whole season, especially in that Dallas game in December. But maybe the best defensive game I've ever seen from any defensive player. Vernon, of course, and the new Bromley if he's healthy. If not, the second-round pick Tomlinson will step in and tackle. Linebacking core should be pretty good. Goodson, you hear good things at middle linebacker. So that defense should be very, very good if they're healthy, if they're playing up to their potential. No reason why this Giant team, with the defense as good as they are, an offense that should be much, but you hope at least and think there's no way they can be as bad as they were last year, because last year at times they were awful. So should be better this year. Eli, I'm not going to talk about age and, can he and will he. I think if they can keep him upright and they give him time to step into his throws, he can still make the throws. Again,
and he'll be able to shrug his shoulders aplenty.
Yep, and the old incomplete pass and the clap and the shrug of the shoulders. So that's right. We get to look forward to that. Every incomplete pass this year, folks. So keep an eye on that one, as we always enjoy having a little fun at Eli's expense. And the running game, as Mr. Hip pointed out a few weeks ago during an episode, concerning maybe Paul Perkins. Is he the answer there? He's a nice back. They're not going to be asking him to carry the ball 25 times a game and rack up 1,400 to 1,600 yards during the season. question: can they, if they have a lead, can they milk a lead? Can they milk the clock with a running game? They didn't really do it last year. Can these backs do it this year? Maybe Orleans Dark was that guy. Can they have a fullback? Oh my God, they actually have a lead blocker, the Icebox. Maybe they'll nickname him the Icebox. Little Giants reference.
It would be how much better would you feel if they still had David Wilson on this team?
Yeah, the forgotten guy. You talk about 30th round.
You know how old he is now?
How
old do you think he is now?
He was drafted. Was he? I think it was after because he was the 30th overall pick. I wanted, so I think it had to be after the Super Bowl. So if that was 2011, then he would have been, I don't know, 20. Let's say 22 then. So I don't know, 28 now.
26 years old.
Yeah. Even younger. Actually, that's right. He wasn't a senior, I think, when he came out. So, all right.
He is pursuing a career in track and field as a triple jumper now, according to Wikipedia. So, for him.
Right? Well, good for him, yeah. Yeah, I mean, nobody has spinal stenosis. I know it was a spinal thing that he had. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just terrible. Remember the high hopes for him, incredibly high hopes for him when he was on
especially
the team.
In those fantasy
I mean,
leagues.
look, who else? Who are there? Any other running backs on this roster? Besides Vereen, you mentioned Orleans Darkwa, Paul Perkins, Shane Vereen. Is there any? Do they have a fourth running back on the active roster?
They may have one more guy in there. But yeah, I mean, the two backs you're going to see most are Perkins and Darkwa. You'll see Vereen. Every now and again he'll carry the ball, but he'll be obviously used in a passing role back at the backfield. Vereen's
has had trouble staying healthy. So I mean, especially if a guy like him goes down, what a hole that creates, just like last year.
Yeah, and I think his absence was understated. But they have the tight end now that can. I mean, we've seen what he can do, Ingram. So we've seen what he can do. Uberly talented. Can. I mean, really, the sky's the limit for him. We'll see how the Giants incorporate him into the offense early on. You probably won't see him targeted that often early on, but they work him in towards the middle to the latter part of the year. I think you're going to see him much more. As long as he's doing all the right things and blocking and all that, you'll see a lot more of Mr. Ingram. But who knows? Maybe you'll see him a lot early. Who knows? Let's see what how they unleash their new weapon. All right.
So they take on the Cowboys on Sunday night. Yep. Feels like it's an annual thing.
They open the season without taking on the Cowboys in Dallas. I mean, God forbid, we cannot have.
I mean, how many years in a row is this going to happen?
I think we talked about that, right? It's like 3 years in a row. I mean, I can think back back a decade. They must have played the Cowboys at least 4 times on opening week in the last decade, if maybe more. It's unbelievable.
So Ezekiel Elliott, as we learned as of yesterday.
There it is.
Tuesday, that he will be playing week 1. Harold Henderson, the gentleman handling the appeal, Ezekiel Elliott's appeal of the 6-game suspension, announced yesterday evening that the suspension is upheld. However, prior to the decision being rendered, Ezekiel Elliott filed a lawsuit in Texas seeking a temporary restraining order and inevitably a removal of the suspension, calling it unfair, essentially. And then the NFL, right after Harold Henderson upheld the suspension, filed the lawsuit in New York, claiming that Ezekiel Elliott's lawsuit in Texas did not have proper jurisdiction because the appeal had not yet been decided, and that New York is the proper forum to hear the case.
Yeah, like the Brady.
By the way,
yeah.
And by the way, what happened with Tom Brady's case, and that was ultimately upheld at the end of the day. So, yeah, Ezekiel, you really don't have much of a case. That's what the NFL was essentially saying. And so now we await the decision by the judges to, and I don't know how they even coordinate this. In any event, at least one judge will rule whether a temporary restraining order will be granted, meaning Ezekiel Elliott would be entitled to play until the litigation is resolved. And if the temporary restraining order is granted, that means that he's basically going to play the entire season. Unless they settle out of court, which is unlikely at this point.
Of course not.
That's the.
If it's a Brady.
that's the way that it's going to play out. If he's not granted the temporary restraining order, and there's a bunch of requirements that he has to show that there's a likelihood of success on the merits, that it'll cause irreparable harm to him if he doesn't play, et cetera, et cetera. But that's where we are. And so he's going to play week 1. The NFL basically said, yes, you're going to play week 1 regardless of.
They said garbage. They said nonsense. That's what they said.
So here we are.
And here we are. I guess if we are, and of course we had to hear Giant players say they're so happy that Elliott's going to play. Just keep quiet. If you want to say that you're happy that your opponent's best players will be on the field from a competitive standpoint, if he's coming off of an injury or something, he's getting over his knee injury, he's going to play. Oh, good, we can now beat them at their best. Fine, that's fine. But to say, we're happy now, you do realize why he was not supposed to play in the game, not because of an injury. So I think I already railed against a few Giants for some idiotic quotes. I'm not going to do it again. I'm just going to ignore it this time. But if we're going to stick with Elliott for another minute here, just seeing some of the nonsense and garbage that was being spewed by the NFLPA and his people. The NFL enacted it, basically engaged in a conspiracy against him. What they say that Elliott and the union were subjected to an arbitration process in which, among other things, there was this is where the conspiracy quote was: there was a league orchestrated conspiracy by senior NFL executives. They pointed out that Henderson declined to hear directly from Goodell. Without direct testimony from the commissioner, it was not possible to determine the full impact of this conspiracy. Silius? How can we be so blind as to not allow Goodell to testify so we can get to the depths of this conspiracy against you? Silius. I mean, conspiracy, it's offensive. It's appalling to hear this nonsense. You know what? If Elliott came out from day one and said, I'm innocent of this, I can't believe that people think that I can do these horrific things, people thinking that I'm a monster and that I'm capable of this, he has never said one iota of that. Everything has been about the NFL's against me, their procedure, their protocol, blah, blah, blah. And the other thing that just drives me insane is when they say, Roger Goodell, he's not impartial. That is the one thing that always drives me insane. How is Roger Goodell, and you can criticize him up the wazoo and feel free. I get it. The NFL has handled these situations terribly. Absolutely. But Roger Goodell is an impartial commissioner of the league. He's not a fan of a team. He's not helping one team over another. Explain how he's not impartial. Oh my God, with this. Drives me insane. They have no explanation for their argument. There's nothing to support their argument. He is judge jury. That's what you collectively bargain, and he is supposed to be impartial because he is impartial. His allegiance is to the brand and to making money, and that's not to. You don't suspend your star player because you're going to be making more money because of it. And we learned that obviously when the NFL decided to allow Elliott. See, the NFL actually came out of this looking good, at least in this situation compared to the NFLPA and Elliott's guys. But then they let him play, and they have no explanation. Just come out and say, hey, NBC called us and said, we want Elliott because we want our ratings to get a giant boost because everybody's going to be so intrigued and interested in seeing Elliott play the Giants at opening night. Oh, yeah, you know what? You're right. Ratings, money. Okay, Elliott can play. Yeah, we'll let him serve his suspension after that. But he can play opening night because we want to make sure we maximize the rating.
The ratings are going to be huge. The ratings are going to be huge.
And I swear, if NBC makes sure that the audience gets to hear the ovation that the morons in Dallas give Elliott, I might just shut off my TV right then and there, and I'll say, you know what? I'll check the score periodically, just as a Giant.
I mean, you are allowed to put it on mute, you know.
Well, no, I don't want them to get the ratings. I just want at least one TV off to make a stand, set an example.
You already know they're going to do that, so you might as well just not turn it on in that case. Listen to the radio.
Yeah, I can listen to Bob. I listen to Bob on WFAN. Bob and Pat. Is it still Pat? So
Bob Papa.
Bob Papa. So he's going to play. Fine, whatever. It sounds like at least that the request for the injunction will be turned down, and that's it. And we can just move on. Now Jarvis Landry is under investigation for also domestic violence, and Let's see if that's it all talked about. Probably not. I actually will be curious to see how Bob Costas approaches this. That's the one thing I would be interested in, because Bob Costas has, he has given his thoughts, and he has not minced words when it's come to these issues in the past, especially going back to last year with Tyreek Hill, and going back a few years before, I think, with another Kansas City player that committed suicide. But I think Bob Costas will be an interesting listen. All right.
So look, let's touch upon the Jets. All right, so let's touch upon the Jets, however, briefly.
The Giants, are they going to win the Super Bowl this year, Mr.
Oh yeah, right. Your prediction. Yes. How many wins to the Giants?
I say same. No, I'm not gonna. I'll say 12-4. How's that? They're gonna win the division. Wow. They're gonna beat the evil Cowboys. 12-4. Tough schedule. Again, tough schedule. That would be a very impressive 12-4. But you know what? Screw it. 12-4 it is. They're going to beat the evil Cowboys and the cow people, and they're going to win that division. They're going to get a first-round bye, and then we get to look forward to maybe Cowboys-Giants if the Cowboys make it as a wild card team in the second round, in the divisional round. All right, next. And we'll get to our Super Bowl picks.
So the Jets started Josh McCown in their 4th preseason game. Did you catch that?
I watched every last second of that exhilarating,
thrilling sporting event. And he limped off the field at one point. Why are you starting your starting quarterback during of meaningless preseason games? After not using him weeks 1 through 3 in the preseason, you start him the last game where usually no starters play, and you throw him out there. What the hell?
Well, I guess he hadn't played. He didn't play at all in the other preseason games. So I guess they figured, oh damn, if he's going to be our quarterback, maybe we should actually get him some reps in an actual.
But why?
game.
I mean, I think he was healthy. It's not like he was trying to recover from an injury, as far as I know. I mean, just mind-boggling.
They were hoping and praying that Hackenberg could win the job, and then every single time he threw another pass over somebody's head or threw an interception, they were like, "Oh, he's even worse than we thought." All right, McCown, it is okay.
But at that point, you might as well use Hackenberg in the 4th game, but whatever. So look, Josh McCown, 38-year-old starter, whatever he is now. This is just a throwaway season for the Jets. I mean, the expectations are so low that if they even, somehow start like 2-2 and 3-3, you'll be like, what the hell is going on right now?
And you'll actually root them to win games.
And they actually have to try to win. Look, I mean, they could beat the Bills. I mean, the line is 9 or whatever, but the Bills are kind of in tank mode. They're going to have more talent on the field than the Jets, but Jets could still win that game somehow. I mean, I don't think it's impossible.
Bills are favored by 9. Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
God, can you imagine they were playing the Patriots? It would have been it would already been 3 touchdowns. I mean, you figure once the Jets are like 1-9, then they'll start getting 9-point spreads against like teams like the Bills.
The Bills.
God.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So it's the expectations are absolutely rock bottom, which
hipster doctrine.
In a way, if they actually could hang around in a game or two in the second half, you'd be like, what the hell? Let's see what could happen here.
Actually, ripping the wins.
I mean, they did shine. Look, they signed Jeremy Curley and Javon Curse.
Jermaine, actually, one of our listeners made that mistake, which I was going to make fun of
Jermaine
later.
Jermaine was in week 1.
Jermaine, whoops. Yes, Jermaine Curse. Yep. Actually, what were your thoughts of the Richardson trade, though? Did you like that trade or
no?
Okay, I didn't like it either.
I mean,
I couldn't believe that there were so many.
I mean, what's the point of having anyone on your team with talent at this point?
Exactly. I mean,
what trade Leonard Williams too? Why not? Just go ahead. I mean, what the hell? What are you doing? I mean, why would you trade Sheldon Richardson?
It seemed like he was behaving himself. I mean, I know that he had issues in with his mouth and locker room and Marshall and feuding, but it seemed like he was behaving, and he was having a fantastic preseason.
I know.
And then you dump him for a second-round pick. Oh, we weren't going to sign him next year anymore. Well, how do you know? How do you know you were not going to bring him back? Maybe you franchise him and then go that route.
I mean, look, we're not privy to what's in the locker room. There's always more of the story.
Maybe
with these kind of situations.
On the surface, it just reeks of just the team.
On the surface, it's like what the
salary dumps, and just fitting in. and just adhering to the
If everything
team.
were salary dumped, they should have cut Forte already. I mean, like, why even bother having him on the team?
It's actually interesting that they have not cut Forte. Just to even do him a favor. Hey, Slote, you know what? The ship's going down this year. Well, the ship's already like underwater, so we're gonna throw you a life preserver and allow you to see if you can find a team that maybe has a chance of competing this year. Enjoy.
Right. And now I think he's going to play more than people expect. I think a lot of people think that Bilal Powell is going to be the main guy, and I think it's going to be similar to what we've seen in the past. They're going to really, because Powell is not a bruiser.
No.
Forte is going to be the early down back and the primary runner to grind out yards, run the clock, and try to have some semblance of time of possession control. Would Powell be more used in third downs and, change of pace for the regular carries? So, I think it's going to be a fairly even timeshare. Look, those are two decent, not terrible talents to have. It's just that who you're passing to. I mean, that's the ultimate. I mean,
Von Kearse.
Sadly, it's Jermaine Kearse and Jeremy Curley might be getting the majority of the targets out of this receiving core this week.
Robbie Anderson as well. Mm-hmm. And don't forget
Robbie Anderson.
Jenkins.
Right. He's suspended the first 2 weeks.
That's right,
Safarian Jenkins. Yeah, so I don't even know who their starting tight end is. I probably should.
Is it Kyle Brady?
I don't know. There's not much more to
Johnny
say.
Mitchell. Maybe it's Johnny Mitchell. How about Darius Stewart, though? The third-round pick from Alabama. I guess we'll see if he
might get some run. Yeah.
He works his way in.
They have Jalen Marshall, who is suspended the first 2 or 3 games.
The fumbler extraordinaire.
So there you go. All right.
That's it. That's all you got? How about their defense?
That's all I got, really.
Defense could be okay. I know, no Richardson, but they have Williams. Let's see if Wilkerson decides that he wants to play this year. Lee, let's see if he takes any kind of steps forward. Adams, the safe that they drafted, I think is going to be a really good player. I think you're
and hey, no Darrelle Revis.
And no Darrelle Revis. But I think Adams will definitely be he has the potential to maybe be like a Landon Collins type for the Giants. I think he is that talented. And everything you heard was really good. So, look, there is a little bit of a foundation. There are a zillion cracks in that foundation, but they're very slowly adding cement to the foundation, filling those cracks. So, let's see if they
I'm going to take
a big slab of that with a quarterback next year from California.
This is a good way to segue into our over/under segment and say I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb here and say the Jets will have 5 wins this year. They will beat the over/under of 3.5.
Wow. I mean, I've seen, of course, Rittenhelm. They're not going 0-16. They are not going to go winless. I know their offense stinks. Josh McCown at quarterback. I get it. They have no weapons. I get it. They're not that bad, though, that they're going to go 0-16. First off, you look at their schedule. There are a couple of winnable games, and they play Cleveland, they play Jacksonville. Who knows what Jacksonville's going to be this year? They play obviously Buffalo twice and Miami twice. They'll win a couple of those games. Maybe they do surprise a few people and actually win a couple. Maybe at the end of the season they play better. They win a couple of games. We'll see.
But their last 5 games. Listen, the last 5 games of the year for them.
I know they
host the Chiefs at. They host the Chiefs at Denver, at New Orleans, host the Chargers at New England. Okay. That is a brutal
Chargers. Maybe they can win. Let's
beat the Chargers.
See them improve. Let's see the young players improve. That's the guys that will at least most likely be there the next year. Most of these guys will be gone, of course, next year, but the ones that will be improved. I mean, that's really what you're looking for this year as a Jet fan, and you're going to dream of a California quarterback. California dreaming. You're going to be dreaming of one of the California quarterbacks coming over here, Sam or Josh, after Josh throws for 292 yards and 4 touchdowns in the 4th quarter against Texas A&M the other night for UCLA. Unbelievable. We don't have to get into that now, but just unbelievable. And, of course, Sam and the kid from Wyoming who's supposed to be really good, too. So the Jets – actually, and I think you probably scare some Jet fans by saying they'll win 5 games because then they'll be terrified they're not going to get one of those guys. But if they do go 2-14 or 3-13 or something like that,
they could always trade up to get the guy if they really, really want him. So I mean, whatever. You can't just root for your team to lose. I'm sorry, you can't. It's too extreme.
And the players are playing to win the damn game, and that's why, like,
they are
going to play Hackenberg because he can't play. What message are you sending by putting a quarterback in there that can't play? McCown, can at least man the position. Is he great?
The locker room, there would be no control in that locker room if Hackenberg was
the veteran. I mean, what message are you sending if Hackenberg is starting? Oh, we'll just see what he has. No, it doesn't work that way. The head coach is trying to win. I mean, what they can go 2-14 and then they say bye, Todd. I mean, the guy, he's in his third year. I mean, he can very easily be let go at the end of the year. I don't know what the situation is going to be, especially with the ambassador Woody over there in England. So, it's not going to be a pretty year for the Jets. We know that. That's a given. Hey.
All right. Well, let's all right. So let's do a little bit of over. Let's do a little bit of over under.
The over and the unders. All right.
So, there were a few that stuck out to me that I kind of want to touch upon. I'm not going to go through all of them. We'll be here all night. The highest was New England 12.5. I guess that doesn't surprise everybody. Everybody.
They're daring you to take the over on that one. Say, 12.5. Oh, they're going to win at least. They're probably going to go 15-1.
A bit of a wild card of a team I feel like this year is Baltimore. Their key offensive players have pretty much not done like anything in the preseason, and they have some new faces there. So they're 8.5 over under, and I feel like it's just a complete wild card. I have no idea.
They're another. You know how many teams though you can say like legitimately could potentially win between like 7 and 9 games. I mean, it seems like half the league could probably. You have some legitimately bad teams, and you have a handful.
All right, here's one. How about Cleveland 4.5? I think they're going to win more than 4.5 games. Although one of their defensive players just went down today for about potentially 4 weeks. I forgot the defensive lineman. I don't remember his name, but that might be that. Look, they're starting a rookie quarterback.
Rookie quarterback that everybody said was not remotely close to be ready to be playing in the NFL. I mean,
that's gonna hurt them.
Yeah, they actually, and I said that they were going to put bubble wrap on him. They actually might just, it looks like they might just tell him, hey, go out and make a gajibillion mistakes. We don't care.
Well, at first, I mean, if he makes a bajillion mistakes in 2 games, they're gonna try to simplify.
I mean, if he looks like he's completely lost, like he has no idea what he's doing, that's different. But if he's just going to be gunslinging it and throwing the ball down the field over and over, and he gets picked off a few times.
I still think Cleveland eclipses 4.5 wins, even if it's just 5 or 6. I think they're good enough. How about New Orleans in 8?
Their defense is awful. They have not improved that defense. Yeah, we know that they can score with anybody, especially on that carpet, but we've seen them be vulnerable at home now, where the golden ages of Breeze and Sean Payton, they never lost at home. I mean, now we've seen them lose at home in some tough ones. I don't know. I can see them coming under. I mean, 8 seems like that's like the proper over-under for them. If I had to take the over/under on that one, I mean, I guess if I would say push at 8 and 8. I have to look at their schedule.
Yeah.
But I would say under. I would say they can potentially go 6 and 10, 7 and 9. That's a tough division. That's a really tough division.
Oakland 9.5.
They're daring you to take the over. I mean, Vegas is saying take that over. We want you to. It's another tough division. That division, Denver, I think is going to be good. Kansas City's still good. I mean, they're well coached. It's a tough one. Obviously, San Diego. I mean, San Diego is the ultimate wild card because it seems like every game. They could legitimately go 16-0 or 0-16. How many games they've been blowing out their opponent only to come back. For their opponent to come back and beat them. Just they invent ways to lose. It seems like
week to week, very unpredictable.
Yeah. Yes. But I would say I still like Oakland. Their defense, I think, is going to be a little bit better. They still have a really good offensive line. Lynch will be fine. I'm not looking at him as a top back or a guy that's just going to completely fall off a cliff, having a year off. But I probably would go with the over on that one. I still like Oakland. I mean, they're daring you to take the over Vegas, but I probably would take the over. All right.
I don't think I would.
It's tough. You're tempted.
I don't think they're going to get 10
I can see them winning 10 games.
I don't really.
I think Kansas City's still
We're
vulnerable.
gonna have to re-listen to this episode at the end of the year and see how we did.
Yes, all of our listeners, take notes and tell us where we went wrong.
Carolina 9. Carolina 9 because they had an awful year last year.
Tough division. But they also just found ways to lose. Their secondary was atrocious. I think their secondary is supposed to be a little bit better this year. It was atrocious last year. I think Newton. I mean, he had a terrible year. I think he's definitely going to have a much better year. They have their offense. I think is going to.
I took him on my fantasy team, so he better. Yeah.
And it's at 9. Really, I'm surprised they actually put Carolina. I would have thought they would have put him at maybe like 8, 8.5. And there's just so many
because they have that Christian McCaffrey.
Yes, the demon out of the backfield, the Christian McCaffrey. Yes, he's so well dressed in his suit and tie as well. If you're when you draft him, he comes up in your fantasy draft. I mean, I think Carolina can definitely be one of those teams. They can either go 7-9, or I can see them going 11-5. I mean, again, really tough division. And then, you look at Tampa, you look at Atlanta, you look at again New Orleans. We just talked about. But I think Carolina is definitely a very strong bounce back candidate this year with Cam and company. I'll say, give me push 9-7. Cop out. I'm gonna cop out. I need the half there. I need it like 8.5 or something. Tell me which way I'm going.
All right.
Oh. How about Tampa Bay on Hard Knocks? I don't know if you watch any of Hard Knocks. Of course, they didn't. They decided not to mention Jameis. They focused on Jameis Winston. It seemed like everywhere you turned, it was Jameis Winston. Up there's Jameis talk. Up there's Jameis again. Up there, focusing on him working out. Now he's at home. Now he's in the pool. They also decided not to mention Mr. Winston's past, where his school, Florida State, had to settle with a young girl that accused him of, doing some horrific things. We don't have to rehash it, but they settled with her for $1 million. So they just want to throw that out there. And Hard Knocks decided it wasn't important at all to mention. So thanks. Telling the whole story there. Glad to see that they give us such an inside look. It's such an expose of these players, especially the star players. Anyway, Tampa Bay, you could see that they're talented. Winston to Evans could be, one of those, combinations that you're going to see for a very long time. And I will say Tampa Bay, and actually, let's see if the hip can answer this. The last time they made the playoffs was 10 years ago. They lost at home to the eventual Super Bowl champion New York Giants. Mr. Hip, can you name the starting quarterback for Tampa Bay in that game?
2007?
2007. Lost to the Giants at home, the eventual champions of football. Starting quarterback that day. He is somebody that... Huh?
Was he a starting quarterback for the team all year?
I think so. Most of the year. Let's just say that you once got him at a fantasy auction for $1.
Well, obviously, Jeff Garcia.
Well done.
The hint, yes, of course, the obvious answer to all
everybody
the
in the audience. Well,
the hint that gave it away to everybody.
Well, we know one person in the audience got that as soon as I gave that clue. Our lead creative consultant. Shout out, hello. Yes, $1.
Jeff Garcia. Now, look, part of that strategy was there were a lot of quarterbacks still left on the board, and we figured throw out a guy that wasn't really highly touted going into the season, and that figured a lot of people would pass on him, and, well, everybody passed on him, and it ended up working out. God, I keep forgetting who the guy that he took over for the previous year. Well,
this was right post Steve Young, wasn't it?
Actually, but there was another guy in the mix.
Didn't we have this discussion?
Yeah.
I think we actually
we did, and we're gonna have to go back to we can't have this discussion again.
Yeah, we can't rehash. But, just a little context. Also, Jeff Garcia went on to have an incredible year that year. So if you're thinking, well, who cares? Jeff Garcia, big deal, $1. No, he actually had a fabulous year that year. So he's one of the steals of the auction. Plus, I think you had Marshall Falk, right? So in his heyday.
Yeah, so I know you wanted to make a note of Adrian Peterson's comment because he's playing the Vikings in Minnesota this week.
Yeah. So no more over-unders, no more other ones that jump out at you?
Yeah. You know what? We gotta keep moving here.
Do you want to give like a
sleeper?
Do you want to give? Well, do you want to give like one sleeper in each conference that you think could surprise? Maybe a team that's not being talked about as much. Anybody that jump out of you there?
As much. Has Arizona been talked about a lot?
All right.
Has Arizona been talked about a lot?
Oh, Arizona. I use Arizona. No, I don't really hear Arizona that often.
So then there you go. That's my pick.
Okay. All right.
I think selfishly, Carson Palmer will have a relative bounce back year at his ripe young age of 37 years old, and a lot of it rests on him because
John Brown, of course.
Right, I mean, if their backup quarterbacks won't be able to move the football, so they obviously have one of the best top 2 running backs in the league, in the world. They have a pretty good defense, so I like the Cardinals to make a deep run this year.
All right. AFC?
How about you? I have to do both conferences before you do one.
All right, so I'll give
it here.
That's all right. I can give an NFC team. So you hear. So obviously everybody's trendy pick is nobody likes to take the team that went last year, especially a team that lost, even though they should have won 17 times over. Of course the Falcons. I think the Falcons are. I think they're definitely the class of the NFC. Green Bay, everybody wants to. They're the trendy pick. Everybody wants to take them. Hold the phone with Green Bay. Their defense is still not very good. I know they've improved their secondary a little bit, but that defense still does. I know they have Rodgers and all that. Great offense, we know. Still, Green Bay, I'm not sold that they're a team that you should just pencil into as NFC champions right now. We talked about our Giants. We talked about the other teams. We talked about the NFC South, it seems like. Here's a team that I will give that I think – because of the way they started last year and the way they fell apart, I really was very surprised at how they fell apart. The Minnesota Vikings, remember, they got off to a great start last year, and the hinges came completely unglued, and they ended up falling apart, missing the playoffs. I think the Vikings this year, Bradford, another year under, 1 year under his belt now in that team. They added Cook, who I think is going to be a good back. They have a pretty good receiving core, and their defense, I think, as good as it played in the beginning of the year last year, and then just kind of fell off a little bit. I think their defense is going to get right back to where they were at the beginning of last year. The offensive line was awful last year. Looks like we'll be a little bit better. I think the Vikings could definitely be a sleeper team that nobody is talking about, at least not much in the NFC. All right.
Sam Bradford was signed or traded like a week before the season started because Teddy Bridgewater had that horrific knee injury.
Yeah.
And I mean, the dude had less than a week to prepare. I don't think he started the first week. They used what's his face? Sean Hill in week 1.
Oh yeah, Sean Hill. Wow, geez.
And then they went to Bradford in week 2. But I mean, come on, 2 weeks to prepare. It just wasn't fair for Bradford, and you know what? He ended up setting a record for the highest completions percentage in NFL history.
That's right. I think we mocked it actually because he threw for like 12 yards the whole season. Yeah, and like averaged like 3 yards.
But look,
but Bradford is definitely better than that, and a year in that system. I think Minnesota.
Yeah, and look, you want to make fun of Bradford, how much money he's made, and how he, has been brittle through the course of his career.
All true.
He can still sling it, and I think they're going to push the ball more downfield. They decided to put Stephon Diggs out on the outside and put Adam Thielen, whatever, in the slot.
Any special interest in Stephon Diggs that you mentioned him first?
two out of 3 fantasy teams. Latavius Murray is there too. Don't forget Latavius Murray. I mean, they have weapons. They definitely have offensive weapons. So I like it. I'm scrolling through the NFC, man, and I am just not. I'm scrolling through the AFC, and I am just not really feeling excited about the AFC at all.
So just pencil in the Patriots right now. Why even bother playing? Tell everybody else to go home. Everybody go home.
Seriously. I mean, by default, the Titans, because they have a quarterback. I mean, the Colts, you don't know because of luck. I mean, so do you just take the Titans because they added Decker, they drafted Corey Davis? I think you're going to see Derrick Henry really emerge as a strong back this year. I know DeMarco Murray's there, but he's getting on the wrong side of 30.
Yeah, Tennessee's a very trendy pick. A lot of people love Tennessee.
So I guess that's not a sleeper then. I mean, I'm just kind of getting to them by default. I'm just not feeling great about. I think I don't know. Are the Chiefs a popular pick too? I'm guessing they.
I mean, the Chiefs were there last year, and I mean, they bring back. Most of this. I mean, they did lose a couple of guys, but I mean, the Chiefs.
Their issue, right? They lost Macklin. Their issue is a receiver after Tyreek Hill. We've talked about this. I just don't know how they. Is somebody going to step up in that receiving core and make plays?
I think if they can right the ship offensively, the Texans, you saw what that defensive line without J.J. Watt terrorized the Patriots in that playoff game. They had Brock Osweiler, a quarterback, though. I mean, come on. I understand that.
Now it's Tom Savage. I mean, how much more exciting can you be?
I know. But now they're getting Watt back, I think the Texans this year. I mean, Savage, he might be able to play a little bit. Let's see. I mean, maybe they just go right to Watson. They'll give Savage every opportunity to fail. He throws one interception. All right, you're out, get out. But it's week 5. That's my first interception. Doesn't matter. Get out. Watson, you're in. I mean, they're itching to get him in. But I think the Texans this year, I mean, that defensive line with Clowney, Watt, Merciless, I mean, they might legitimately terrorize all their opponents this year, earning another playoff berth, winning that division, getting another playoff berth, and then maybe – let's see if they can pull Broncos on the Patriots from what the Broncos did a few years ago with their defense. So that'll be my pick. If maybe they're not really.
Who is very uninspiring to me, Lamar Miller. So I wonder if
we talked about him. Boring, pedestrian.
I wonder if this rookie Donta Foreman that they took is gonna actually there's gonna be a surprise rookie or second year back that comes out. I mean, it happens every year. Where somebody comes out of nowhere and ends up having a big year. Maybe it's him.
Jay, oh my God, look at this guy running for 200 yards and does it again. Oh my God.
Right. So, I don't know. Their offense, it's a wild card. Look, yes.
Hopkins is a legit top receiver. I mean, he's a really good receiver. I mean, I think that defense is good enough that they can win a division again in a very so division. I mean, the Titans, they'll be pretty good, you would think. The Colts, I hope they have Andrew Luck since selfishly I have him on one of my teams. Yes, but
can you name the receiver starting opposite DeAndre Hopkins?
Will Fuller, number 5. Will Fuller V.
Will Fuller is injured.
That's right, he's injured. Nope, I got nothing. Our fantasy league isn't that deep.
This is a guy that's pretty much trying to follow the exact footsteps of Terrell Pryor.
Oh, former quarterback that's now a wide receiver. Really?
Same college.
Same college. Oh wait, Braxton Miller.
There you go. Starting opposite DeAndre Hopkins is penciled in for week 1.
That guy. That's Braxton right. I forgot Miller. He was there. Braxton Miller, that's right.
Super sleeper waiver wire pickup, Braxton Miller. Yes,
make a note, everybody, right now. Yes. All right. Okay, well, he's okay. He's tall, right? He's what is he, like 6'3", 6'4"? He's tall. He can maybe.
He is. It's only 6'1", boys. Only 6'1". Alarm.
Oh, I thought he was taller than that. All right. I was going to say maybe he could be a poor man's Matt Jones from back in the day. The tall, goofy white receiver. Yeah, all right. No.
All right.
There you go. There's my. All right. So do we dare give Super Bowl picks? Do we dare give our picks for the big game? And only how many months now? Counting down for the big game.
Jeez, I can't even think about it. Let's. Right now. Well, it's our previous show. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we table the Yankees to next week because we're pretty balls deep into this episode already with football.
Oh my God, tabling the
why is there something you absolutely have to get to with the Yankees?
I mean, the Apple Watch, the Red Sox using their Apple Watch to steal.
We'll talk about it for a couple minutes. We'll just do that. The rest of it we'll have to hold off on. So let's do this. Let's talk about the Apple Watch nonsense. Then we'll do our week 1 picks, and then we'll close it out with our Super Bowl picks.
What about the Mets?
So that's the extent of the Mets. So look, the Yankees filed a detailed complaint. They apparently caught the Red Sox on videotape with somebody on behalf of the organization in the dugout sending a signal from an Apple Watch to somebody else in the dugout that then relayed a signal to the person on second base, who then signaled to the, I guess, who knew the sequence of the catcher's the catcher's signs, who then the player on second base then relayed the signal to the batter. Got all that?
What a complex, intricate plot executed by the devious, crafty Boston Red Sox. Oh my God! I think my head's spinning still listening to that. Which we took, and we relayed it to this guy who then smacked his head 3 times, and then the next guy patted his belly 7 times, and eventually the sign got to the batter, and by the time it got to him, the ball was already by him 3 times. Well, I remind you, of course, of the infamous Giants-Dodgers sign stealing controversy from 1951. Bobby Thompson home run. No, accusing the Giants of stealing signs. The Dodgers did, yes. And no Apple Watches, of course, back then, but today the Red Sox.
Right, so apparently there's a rule, no electronic devices allowed in the dugout, so apparently in clear violation. Rob Manfred has come out and said there's no precedent on a punishment because it's very difficult to assess the actual impact such activity had on the game itself. It remains to be seen whether he will do anything. I think he's in a tough spot because if he doesn't do anything, then what's going to stop teams from doing it in the future unless he comes out and says, well, if I catch the next team that does it, then we will do this. So I don't know. It's a difficult spot to be in.
Well, how come? But what if one of the players wants to know how many steps he took that day? What is he supposed to do if he's not wearing his Apple Watch or his Samsung Watch? I mean, what the hell, Major League Baseball?
Just hide it in his cup. Just hide it in his cup, and then nobody will see it, and it'll still get credit for his steps.
But here's the question, though: what are they going to name this controversy? Spygate's already taken. Another Boston team already took that one. They call this Sign Gate. It has to be a gate at the end. With that, we know. I
don't know. I just feel like they've gotten away. Well, they tried to get away, or they didn't get away with something that other teams, I'm sure, have gotten away with, and we just don't know.
They all have their elaborate
of course they
systems.
Do. Of course
the Red Sox filed a counter against the Yankees. But
it doesn't make the Red Sox any less guilty. They got caught, but what does Manfred do? I don't know.
I mean, there was no precedent for what the Patriots did either. I mean, they got fined, what was it, like $500,000, lost a couple of picks. I mean, I don't know. I mean, are they going to they're going to fine the Red Sox? We'll fine you double that. It's, we'll factor in for inflation, and we'll fine you like double that or something. I don't know. They can take away a draft pick. We're going to take away your compensatory 62nd round draft pick. Oh no. I don't know. And honestly, I don't lose sleep over this. I mean, and the fact that people had to write about this, like, oh, the rivalry is now heated and ratcheted up again. Oh my, really? This is what we have to look for now? Oh, the sign stealing, the Apple Watch sign stealing incident. They used to have like all-out brawls on the field, these two teams, and now it's the Apple Watch sign stealing. The dilemma of 2017. This will, I'm sure, live in the lores of Yankee Red Sox memories. So, whatever. And we'll see what they do, if they do anything. If they just slap them on the wrist, maybe literally they give them a little slap on the wrist. All right.
Well,
so,
I don't downplay it as much as you do. I think it's a potential impetus to revitalize the rivalry in today's technological age. It's different now. The game is different. There's as much as I know you love the instant replays and the
I don't.
Pitching changes, and we're not going to go there now. But it's a different. The game the game has changed. I know you do, and I think it's.
I missed your facetious tone there. That went over my head. Wow.
I know, because you're so caught in the moment over the Apple Watch obsession. All right, well, we got to move on. We'll talk more about the Yankees.
Hey,
next
give us
week.
an ALCS between these two teams, and then then we can see what the rivalry can be again. That's what you need.
There you go.
Not that Cleveland is going to allow, or even Houston now. I mean, it looks like they're the two best teams, like by far, and the Yankees and Red Sox are a cut below them. But
okay, so Yep. Very quickly. All right. Let's do our picks for week 1.
All right.
We're both gonna take a pick on tomorrow night's game at New England, which New England's -9 hosting the Chiefs, and then we're each gonna take 2 games that we are gonna pick as our against the spread. So
right.
You go first. Who are you taking? Kansas City or New England?
Well, they're definitely begging you to take Kansas City there with that line. I'm actually, I guess you figured it would have been around there. I would have thought maybe it would have been a little higher, but I mean, New England, there's just no way that Kansas City is winning this game. I think New England is going to run roughshod over them. They're going to win going away once the second half starts. Maybe it's mildly competitive in the first half, but this game definitely has New England winning going away written all over it. There's no way that I would dare take Kansas City getting the points in this game. I think New England wins this by at least 2 touchdowns, maybe more. Maybe like a 31-17 type of game. Maybe like something like that, 35-20. I don't know. But I just cannot see them not covering the spread in this one. I think they're definitely going to win and cover the spread. All the emotions of their championship, and Roger Goodell might be there, and they're all jazzed up chanting his name. Tom Brady, 1 more year. How many more years for Tom Brady? Healthy Gronkowski. All the expectations on the year for New England. Give me New England giving away the 9 points at home, opening up the season against KC.
Very logical, well thought out decision.
Really.
And so I will go the other direction.
Oh yes, indeed.
Why not?
Wouldn't be any fun if you just agreed. Okay, I agree. Next.
At some point, Tom Brady is just going to start to show signs that he's not as good of a quarterback as he was previously.
Week what?
And maybe this is the start. Look, he has Chris Hogan from last year, but Brandon Cooks is a great player, right? Edelman's down. Look, they have Gronkowski. I can see the reasons why you just are begging to take New England.
Well, they're begging you to take Kansas City. That's what Vegas wants.
Well, I don't know. They should make the line higher. I could see why you want New England, but I think that I'm really struggling to come up with good reasons here. But other than look, their running game is a complete wild card. They have 4 different backs. I don't know. Are they going to let any guy get into a rhythm? They're going to let any guy get into a rhythm. Whereas maybe this Kareem Hunt has this huge dominant week 1 game, and I mean it's pretty remote. I have to say, I'm trying to come up with reasons here that are
teams. Well, you can give special teams. I mean they're good on special teams, Casey.
Yeah, but that's you can't make a choice on a spread based on special teams.
Yeah, well, you need something. Just maybe a turnover, maybe a pick 6, maybe Tom actually throws an interception and Eric Berry returns it. Throwing stuff out there. Tyreek Hill, a punt return.
But that's
screen.
not the
okay. Fine, a bubble screen that he turns into a 78-yard touchdown.
It is going to be tough to. Kansas City is just going to have its best defensive game of the year to pretty much to.
It's all downhill. So they have their best defensive game, and it's all downhill from there. Oh. All right,
pretty much. All right, next. So we each take 2 games, either for Sunday or Monday night. And I will kick it off with San Francisco getting 5.5 at home. So I'm going to take San Francisco. Yeah. They're hosting the Panthers.
Yep.
Carolina Panthers. Kyle Shanahan now running the offense.
Yep.
Brian Hoyer. Look at some of the stat lines that this dude has produced over the years. He can.
Yeah, he can actually do stuff. Yeah, I would have thought.
Hoyer's had terrible games, okay? But
reason for optimism in San Francisco, Brian Hoyer? Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I'm breaking up a little bit.
Right.
I just think they're going to surprise people a bit. They're going to keep this close. Carolina on the road, I don't know. How well have they recovered? I just think San Francisco is going to put up more points than people expect, and they're going to keep it close, maybe win that game. I like San Francisco.
So you're picking them to win or just cover, maybe lose by a field goal?
Well, the object of this exercise is just to pick the team that's going to cover.
All right. Well, but
maybe they win the game.
All right, I want to hear what you have to say, though. Are they winning, or are they going to lose on the last second field goal?
Let's just let's go for the complete shock and say they win the game.
All right. I mean, we see wacky stuff in week 1. I mean, you always think like, oh, this game will go this way, this game will go this way, and then how many times do we see these wacky finishes in week 1, and you go, wow, I didn't see that coming. All right.
All right. So your turn.
I like that. That's a good one. All right. So on your list here, we have. All right, I'll bite. I'll take Detroit at home, getting 2 against Arizona. I do like Arizona this year, as does the Mr. Hip, but I also think that Detroit, they're a good home team. I like Stafford. Their offensive line is improved again. Their defense is okay, not bad, but not great, but it's not bad. At home, I can definitely see Arizona. I don't love Arizona on the road. Opening game, underdog at home. I can just definitely see Detroit winning this game. Maybe like winning it by like 7 to 10 points. Detroit can definitely put up some points at home. They have a the receiving core doesn't excite you or wow you. Marvin Jones, oh my God, completely fell off the map last year after his very, very strong opening. But I don't know. I Arizona getting favored on the road opening week in Detroit. I'm not a fan of that. Give me Detroit to win that game. I'll even give you a score. I'll say 24-17. How's that?
Okay.
Right.
Stafford is Stafford's all over the place. Like he's just there. He's very good against bad teams and he's bad against good teams. Now, of course, we're week 1, so it's hard to say. And I think I actually texted you a bit of information about that, didn't I?
Yes.
After he was signed to
become the richest player in NFL history, Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, so I want to actually confirm now that we've mentioned this, and I'm going to have to make everybody wait for me to pull this up, that particular piece of information. So Stafford's record as a starter in games against winning teams is 5-46. 5-46.
That's amazing.
That includes a 3-19 record under Caldwell and a 1-25 record in road games.
I mean, usually those stats you have to dig into to find context and say all right, well, let's see winning teams. Was a team 1-0 when he lost? But I mean, that is just a
5-46.
That's a staggering number, though.
Well, fortunately, that stat does not factor in because Arizona is not currently a winning team.
They are not a winning team, so hey.
All right, my second pick. I don't know if you're going for this one, and if so, then you'll have to think a bit harder. But I'm taking the Giants, getting 4 points at Dallas.
Okay, I wasn't going to touch that. Right?
You were not going to, or you were?
I was not. Nope.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the Giants are just going to win this game. I think. Look. I just think that people are underestimating that defense, and Dallas is going to struggle to put up points. And I think the Giants are much improved offensively, and they're gonna move the football. They're gonna hopefully not have too many stall drives, and they're gonna punch a few in the end zone, and it should be enough.
Despite Elliott's presence and Dallas potentially wanting revenge after losing to the Giants twice last year.
Yeah, whatever. Wanting revenge. I mean, that's not going to change it. Come on. So, all right, go.
All right. I mean, I want to take the Giants. That's the one I didn't want to touch, though. All right. I like this one. Give me Jacksonville at Houston. Houston is 5.5-point favorites against the Jags. The Jags are a mess right now. Even with Coughlin in there, they are. I mean, obviously he's in a front office capacity, but that team is and I like Marrone. I do like Marrone. I think he will have that turned around by once he figures out that quarterback situation. If Bortles is the guy, if Bortles can show that he is the guy in Jacksonville, I think Marrone is a better coach than people give him credit, and I think he will have that team turned around. Not in week 1, though. That they are a mess right now. Houston, they're just walking into a team, obviously, that's riding high in emotion, obviously everything that's gone on in Houston, playing in that city. This is just a terrible situation for the Jaguars to walk into week one, especially with all their issues. That defense I talked about, that Houston defense, maybe they don't score a ton of points. People like the Jaguar defense this year. They have some players on defense that can make plays, we know, but I just cannot see them going in there and winning this game. 5.5. I liked Houston to score enough to cover that. Maybe a final score. I'll give you of a 20. How about 20-9 in favor of Houston to pull out a week one victory at home against the Jags. All right.
All right. Okay. So now it's so now drum roll. Yes, the big Super Bowl. We should have some crazy NFL music going on right now. Bum 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 bum. Super Bowl predictions for the 2017-2018 season. All right, Jimothy, you go first because I know you have it ready.
My favorite NFL music. Bum 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 bum. All right, so I'm going to
the violin. Yes, heavy violin playing.
My favorite, my all-time favorite. All right, so Super Bowl prediction. Yes. All right, I'm going to take the AFC team first, just because. Now, here's what I want. I want my team against the Patriots. I mean, that's what I would just love to do it a third time to Brady and Belichick and company. I just can't take the Patriots. It's just,
I can't either. I'm not taking the Patriots.
There's no fun in that. It's like, what's the point? If you're good, it's like taking the number one seed in the NCAA tournament. It's like, all right, well, who cares? What's the point? All right, so I gave Houston as a sleeper pick. I don't think they have enough to get to a Super Bowl. I just think their offense, it's just not good enough. If they somehow were ever able to get a home game in the playoffs and past the first round, maybe they can do something even on the road in a championship game, even in New England. I can't pick them, though. Looking at that conference, as you said, there's just nobody that jumps out and excites you. The Pittsburgh Steelers obviously were there last year, so in the championship game, so you can obviously go with them. They just never play. They never play well against New England. So if you figure it's going to be New England Pittsburgh, I can't take Pittsburgh either because they'll probably lose that game. I know we're in week one. I'm saying they're going to lose the AFC Championship game. They just don't play them well. So I'm going to give you an AFC West team. How about, and I already said they're going to go over, so I'll just go for broke, the Oakland Raiders. There is your Super Bowl representative, the silver and black. Give a little send-off to Oakland before they leave. As much as I salute Oakland for kicking them out, good for you, Oakland. Wonderful for you, Oakland. But before they leave, they'll give them a Super Bowl appearance, the first time since 2002 when the silver and black, led by Rich Gannon, lost to Johnny and company in Tampa. And Brad Johnson. Oh, Brad Johnson, the best Super Bowl quarterback ever. They haven't won one, it seems like, in ages now, the Oakland Raiders, going back to the days of Marcus Allen. But I say they get there representing the AFC. They will knock off the Pats in the AFC Championship game, and everybody will be happy in Oakland. There's your AFC representative. And the NFC, come on. How can I not take my Giants? Like I said, they can play with anybody in that conference. I mean, you can obviously take Atlanta. You can take Green Bay. You want to say, I think Seattle is prime, their defense, Russell Wilson, yada, yada. Offensive line stinks, though. Give me my Giants. They will, like I said, win 12 games. I say they knock off the Packers in the championship game after the Packers take revenge on the Falcons. And the Giants will face the Green Bay Packers. I'll say in Green Bay. How's that? They will face them in Green Bay, knock them off in Lambeau in the championship game again, like they did back in 2007, and find themselves with a date with the silver and black. There you go. All right.
Well done. I cannot pick an AFC team other than the Patriots, and I'm not picking the Patriots. This is really challenging.
Yeah.
At this point of the year.
How about your Jets? Jets Giants Super Bowl.
Yeah, it is a huge dart throw.
Throw that dart,
man. Well,
pop that balloon.
I mean, can I? I guess I'm going to go with Tennessee. I'm not picking the Patriots. I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think that they are vastly improved offensively. I can't speak much about their defense. I don't know how good it is. So it's kind of out on a limb.
That's a pretty good defense. I mean, I think last year was pretty good, and I don't really think they made like vast changes or improvements to it, but.
And I'm going to stick with the Cardinals out of the the NFC is stacked. And
Titans Super Bowl. Whew.
Yeah.
So try selling that one.
Everybody's got that, right? Yes. Don't go to Vegas and put all your life savings on that. Okay, just to be clear here, coming back full circle.
Hey, we got.
But there you have it. Okay, so
give us teams to. Well, I mean, I guess I copped out by picking my team, but if they weren't there, if I knew they were going to have an awful season, then I obviously wouldn't have picked them. But they're there. How can I not pick them? Of course, I would love the Patriots just so we can just so they can beat them again for a third time.
Yeah.
But all right. Next.
All right. Yep.
Moving on. Right. Yes. No more aRights on WFAN, so you got to get your aRight fix with us. All right.
That's about it. Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
A little Zenith, moment of Zenith before we get to the final segment.
I mean, yeah. Do you have one?
I'll just give a. I mean, I guess you had a story about the blind kicker on Syracuse. So
yeah, that's about it. Yeah, you don't have to go into it more.
Yeah. Well, I guess since we've talked about a few of the bad guys in the NFL, of course, Elliott and mentioned Landry and his situation. How about we give a shout out to one of the good guys, J.J. Watt. His Hurricane Harvey Relief Fund is now up to $20 million. So kudos to J.J. Watt. He's been on the front lines there. You see him, collecting and helping out, and obviously, putting his efforts and his, using his celebrity and his star power to, really one great use and, very admirable use, of course, and raising $20 million for Hurricane Harvey relief. Hopefully, we're not talking about another relief fund in Florida in another week or so. Hopefully, like I said, that skips the U.S. mainland and just dies out in the sea or the ocean. But kudos to J.J. Watt, one of the good guys in the NFL. And he is back and healthy. And like I said, will be terrorizing NFL quarterbacks this year, along with his buddies Clowney and Merciless. So there's your moment of zenith. Well done, J.J. Watt. Yep. So, all right. Now that will take us to the final segment of the week. Everybody's favorite, yours and mine. Of course, that is the Hipster Beer of the Week. And take it away, Mr. Hip.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, we stopped at two breweries this past weekend. I'll only mention one. Trillium Brewing. They have been on the Hipster Beer of the Week list before, a long time ago, though, in the earlier days of this segment.
Yeah, you went there. They gotta be.
They have two. They have two locations. One is in Boston, but you can't drink there. You can only get cans and growler fills to go, and it's basically one little counter. Their actual brewery location is in Canton, which is, I believe it's southwest of Boston, but it's very spacious. And when I went last weekend, they had 8 cans available, different cans of beer, and you can get a case of each.
Is that what you did?
Saisons. There were 3 saisons, 3 pale ales, and 2 IPAs. So a good mixture, and then they had like 20 different beers on draft that you could drink. So it's just overwhelming, and a lot of those were different from the cans. So it's just an overwhelming selection, but all their beers are great. So, if you're in the New England area, just outside of Boston, they have a food truck there, like usually on the Friday or on the weekend. So I recommend a stop to Trillium, and the beer is called Heavy Metal. METTLE, and it's a 9.3% double IPA, as they said, brewed to test the metal of our loyal hopheads. And it features intense dual editions of Amarillo and Galaxy. Yeah, bright aromas of peach and nectarine fused with flavors of tropical fruit and grapefruit on the palate. Accents of pine, resinous hop, and a clean bitterness reveal themselves on a smooth, dry finish.
Ooh, resinous hop, I see.
Great. All right. Well,
here's a question before we sign off.
Okay.
Do you have to get online 3 weeks in advance if you want one of their new releases? Or can you just walk right up when you go in there?
Well, I think they just announce it as it gets as it's released. There's no warning. They just post. They have cans every day. They brew a lot. And so you could pretty much just show up any day and you'll get cans. If it's something new, and but they don't post it until the morning that it comes out. So you're not like planning days in advance to show up there and get online, unlike some other breweries that maybe in unknown parts of metropolitan New York City.
Yes. Last question. Did you get a case of every beer that they had? All the 8 beers. Did you get a case of every one?
A full case, yes, of course.
Oh, yeah, oh my God. Oh, jeez.
No.
Because I saw the picture. I saw the picture next to Little Hipster. And,
I did walk out with 5 cases.
Oh my God.
3 of which are going to my brother.
Oh, I see.
I'm not even. So yeah, if we connect to watch some of the games this weekend, yes, and have our own live commentary in person, then maybe you'll get to enjoy some, Timothy.
HBs, Bitter Hipster Beer Trillium, all right.
See. Looking forward to next week, breaking down the games, week 1, and over analyzing, of course, and yes. All right. Thanks for taking it all the way through this lengthy NFL preview episode.
I promise we'll get back to our Yankees and their pursuit of the pennant. Or at least the first place Bo Sox next week, and maybe more Apple Watch incidents. All right, next.
Yes.
All right.
Slurp with the hip and the lip. Rate us on iTunes before you go to bed or to work. Right now.